Hey everyone, so episode 7 of season 5 of Harley Quinn just dropped, and it's got Harley and Poison Ivy going up against Brainiac. But like, do you really think those two can take down one of the biggest threats in the entire DC universe? And what about Lex Luthor's sister? What's gonna happen to Lena by the end of the season? Stick around for this video so we can break down all the details of this episode, and let's talk about how this season is gonna wrap up. And hey, don't forget to smash that like button and drop a comment below. Do you think season 5 of Harley Quinn is solid? I want to read and respond to every single comment so we can chat about the show as a whole. Let's dive into the video. So the episode kicks off at Frank's funeral, where he was mysteriously murdered in the last episode. Harley shares a few words about how Frank was always the last one to say something, and this time is no different. She turns on the TV next to her, and we see a pre-recorded message from Frank. He kicks it off with the classic line, "If you're watching this, I'm dead, but come on, this is Harley Quinn we're talking about, so you know it's gonna be filled with some hilarious innuendos." Frank lays out a bunch of steps for everyone at the funeral to follow since it's his last wish. I won't get into the explicit details, but basically, he leaves Ivy his most prized possession, which is the handkerchief she's using to cry. Yep, it's got Frank's DNA on it, if you catch my drift. Next up, Frank asks to be buried, and at the same time, Harley is pouring her pricey champagne into the grave. After a while, Ivy gets tired of Frank's wishes and says she's gonna hunt down whoever killed him for revenge. But of course, Harley interrupts her, pointing out a little plant sprouting from Frank's grave. This little plant has half of Frank's DNA and half of Ivy's lipstick DNA. Frank calls it Frankette, it's like a toddler version of him. Super weird, right? But it's kind of like his kid, and Ivy's kid too, even though Ivy's basically the mom of Frank. So now Ivy and Harley have to take care of Frankette, but Ivy can't get over Frank's death. Then, back at her apartment, Harley is trying to look after Frankette when Sean, King Shark's kid, shows up wanting to munch on the little plant. Meanwhile, Ivy is trying to connect with Frank's spirit through the green to find out who the killer is. Then Lena Luthor pops in to tell Ivy and Harley that Brainiac is the one who killed Frank because Ivy totally wrecked Brainiac's perfect city. But that's not the end of it, Brainiac's gonna bottle up the city after killing people. Ivy gets super mad and decides to go after the villain for revenge. Harley wants to help, but they need a babysitter for the kids. So the episode cuts to them heading over to Bane to drop off Frankette and Sean. Who would have thought that Bane, the dude who broke Batman, would make a decent babysitter? It's pretty hilarious. Bane gets annoyed reading a letter from Goldilocks' school saying she's in trouble for bad behavior. He decides to march over to the school to talk to the teacher, taking Sean and Frankette along for the ride. Meanwhile, Harley and Ivy are teaming up with Lena to find a way to Brainiac. Lena shows them the teleporter she used to get to him. They teleport over, but they don't listen to Lena's instructions and end up lost on the villain's ship, so they have to split up to search for Brainiac. Soon after, Harley thinks she hears Clayface singing. She rushes to check it out and finds Brainiac watching Clayface musical from the last episode. This is where we see Brainiac all down in the dumps, saying he's really crazy for not realizing that Coco's been gone for years. I mean, who would have thought Brainiac would be depressed? This show is full of surprises. Ivy shows up, and while Harley and Ivy are brainstorming how to take down Brainiac, he starts controlling his drones on Earth, making them blow up buildings. So Harley distracts Brainiac, singing and dancing along with him to the musical songs while Ivy uses a shrink ray and fires it at Brainiac. The duo manages to shrink and bottle Brainiac, but Metropolis is still getting wrecked by his robots. Meanwhile, at the school, Brainiac rolls in with the kids to chat with Goldilocks' teacher, but they quickly realize buildings are being destroyed by Brainiac's drones. Back with Ivy and Harley, they discover that Brainiac isn't the one who killed Frank, it was actually Lena Luthor who did it. Ivy bolts off in a rage to confront Lena, while Harley stays behind on the ship to save Metropolis. Ivy tries to grab Lena with her plants but ends up failing. Lena escapes to Brainiac's ship while Ivy falls to the ground, summoned back to the green. In the green, Frank's spirit appears to Ivy, telling her she has to save Frankette, who's in danger at the Dutch immersion school. It's a total Alice in Wonderland moment when Frank tells her that even though she wants revenge, it's more important for Ivy to rescue Frankette. Meanwhile, at the school, Bane's using venom to take on the robots. Brainiac's drones are attacking, but Bane and Sean are holding their ground until Ivy swoops in to help save Franquette. In a surprising twist, Franquette shoots her first vine at a robot, and Ivy is super proud of her. But it's no use because the school ends up getting demolished, and an even bigger robot captures them all. Far away, Harley sees all this and desperately tries to stop the attacks, but she's not having any luck. Then Lena shows up, and in a desperate move, Harley begs Lena to stop the attacks, saying she'll do anything in return. Lena saves the city, but just as Harley's about to go after her, she gets teleported back to Earth. So, right after that, Harley, Ivy, and Franquette are chilling at the apartment, but then a robot shows up and kidnaps Franquette, taking her to Brainiac's ship. Ivy is furious with Harley for not taking out Lena and letting her get away with it. Meanwhile, Lena is just enjoying the drama between Harley and Ivy and, in a really sinister way, uses Brainiac's cables on her own head, officially making Lena the final villain of the season. Honestly, this episode was pretty awesome in my book. Yeah, it's a bummer to see Brainiac get taken down so easily, but if you look at everything that's gone down this season, it's all been leading up to Lena being the main villain. I mentioned in the last video about how strange it would be if Lena didn't try to one-up Brainiac at some point, considering she's a Luthor. It'd be weird for her not to want power, right? Even though Brainiac was defeated pretty swiftly by Harley and Ivy, it was super cool to see Lena gain powers after injecting those cables from Brainiac's ship. She's definitely become the biggest threat in the show, and I think that moment was really great. Plus, the school scenes were animated really well. It was awesome to watch Ivy jump into action to save Franquette. Are you loving Harley Quinn? Are you keeping up with the episodes every week? Excited for the season finale? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell because I'm already cooking up the video for the season finale, and you won't want to miss it. Plus, there's a ton of cool stuff coming from DC and Marvel, and I'll keep you updated on all of it so we can chat about our love for superhero stories. Thanks so much for hanging out with me in this video, and I'll catch you next time.